If you're in the mood for real food, it's Concord Food Co-op.
Looks like it's about that time. What's happening? It is Nazi from the Pulse of New Hampshire. Welcome to the Concord Co-op Community Connections. Joining me as always, Miss Kim Brandis. How are you today, Kim?
I'm good. How are you?
I am wonderful. And why don't you introduce this familiar face, our guest today?
Sure. We have Julieann Hartley. She's a local music therapist and nutritional therapist. She uses both music and nutritional therapy to address a variety of conditions, including dementia, developmental disabilities, anxiety, and children who have been affected by the opioid crisis. Nice. She recently released a new album called Miss Julieann Therapeutic Songs for Kids. And for more information, you can go to missjuliann.com.
You really do. I mean, I'm just so inspired by everything you do, Julieann. And that's why I got excited when Kim was introducing you. You really do so much to help the community and help the people around you, where you yourself, you're going through different things. You're going through, you're dealing with Lyme disease, right?
Yes. I mean, who isn't at this point?
True.
You know, and what's so cool is I've spent so much of my career really being out there and available to help and support others. Yeah. And so I've been on medical leave for the past 2 years, which some listeners, if there's any dedicated co-op community connection listeners out there, know that I've been struggling with this for quite a while. But it's been so nice to actually be on the receiving end. And I've just gotten so much support from the community over and over and over again. I've just realized how loved and appreciated I am. And it's just this incredible feeling to have.
You are. And anytime I tell my wife I'm talking to Julieann, she goes, I love her. I love Julieann. She's got such a great spirit. So
I appreciate it.
You really do. You put people's souls at ease. Listen, before we get into today's topic, I want to let everybody know that right now I'm in North Conway, and we went to Zeb's General Store the other day. If you ever come to North Conway, you have to go to Zeb's. And I'll have you both know that they had pickled fiddleheads. Fiddleheads.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I got those in my fridge.
I was going to get them, but I'm like, you know what? I'm sure I'm going to talk to Julieann, and she'll give me the recipe for that. So I don't know if I have to buy them.
No, I mean, you probably don't. I mean, well, right now you need to buy them because you're not going to get fiddleheads out in nature at the moment. That's more of a spring foraging thing. But yeah, they're very easy to make. And, you just need some vinegar and need some fiddleheads. There you go.
And you're good to go. All right, so that kind of leads into our subject for today, summer foraging and fall gardening tips. So there's still some summer left. So let's talk a little bit about summer foraging. What kinds of vegetation are we going to find this time of year?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so much out there, and there's so much that's obvious. I think people know about, there's still some blueberries, some blackberries, some raspberries hanging around. And I just want to be the person to give you permission to go eat the blueberries that you find growing wild, right? I think sometimes I would be growing up and I'd be eating the blueberries on top of a mountain, and someone would be like, oh, are you sure you can eat those? Like, I was like, but they're blueberries, right? Like, you've literally seen these your whole life. These are blueberries. And like, yeah, but can you eat these blueberries? And you're like, yes, you can eat these blueberries. Absolutely.
It is a little intimidating to just, pick something right from nature and eat it.
It is, especially that first time, because I think we're told our whole lives that, like, nature is dangerous and that there's all these things, all these plants that are going to hurt us and kill us. And I think the reminder that I like to tell everyone who's just getting into foraging is that, especially in New England, there are very few plants that are going to kill you, right? Like, or cause serious damage or harm. And even the poisonous plants that we think about, you would have to consume large quantities of that plant in order to have any kind of serious damage. The worst, and for most people, you're going to have a couple berries and like maybe you have diarrhea of something, right? Like, or you're going to have diarrhea and like you're going to be like, oh, I guess I can't eat those.
That's not the one to eat. Yeah.
Yes. But you would have to consume massive amounts of these things in order to get seriously injured. And then the other thing I like to always remind people is that those plants taste horrible. Like, you put it in your mouth and you just spit it out and you're like, oh, that's so gross. There's really, I mean, obviously poison ivy, you don't want to put in your mouth at all, right? And most people by now, if you don't know what poison ivy looks like, well, go look it up before you start putting any plants in your mouth. That's a good thing to know.
Right.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, like, if you're going to go out foraging, there's like 3 or 4 plants that you just want to make sure, like poison hemlock. You want to make sure you're not eating poison hemlock. And poison ivy. Those are the 2 big ones in my mind. I think the rest, like, you're obviously don't put anything in your mouth that you don't know.
Yeah.
But I just want to remind people, like, you're safe to interact with these plants.
You can check them out.
Right?
And I've heard too, you kind of want to do what nature's doing. So if you see that deer have been there feeding on it, that must mean it's okay. You know what I mean? For the most part. I mean, granted,
for the most part.
Yeah, but Nancy told me
mean,
it was okay. No,
right?
No, I didn't say that. But that's what I've learned. If you see the animals eating it, they know.
Right.
You know?
I mean, goats can also eat poison ivy, though, right? Or like there are some plants that can eat. So there's just like more people around that. Like, no. But you know, like blue jays, deer, they all love acorns. There's so many animals that use acorns. It's it's a caloric staple for them. And that can be a caloric staple for us too. So in that sense, that is something you can follow. And blueberries and all these things, all these berries out in the woods, the animals obviously love them. Yeah. My husband and I, whenever we go foraging, we often have to beat the animals to certain spots because otherwise they're just going to clear the area.
You got to get there first.
So to forage, do you have to be in the middle of the woods somewhere? Can you do it in your backyard?
You can do it in your backyard as long as you don't spray your backyard, right? That's the other like quick reminder, everyone.
Yep.
You know, the foods I'm going to talk about today, if they're in your backyard, please go for it. But not if you're spraying your backyard with pesticides or herbicides, because then you're going to be ingesting those toxic chemicals. I would never eat something right next to the road. Right. I'd always make sure I'm going back at least like 6 to 12 feet away from the road. And depending on the road, I might go further back. And I typically, if I'm walking on a trail, I try not to eat something that's right on the trail, only because I don't know if it's a really popular trail, like there might be like dog urine or something on it, right? If I'm in an isolated area where like not that many people are going through, or if it's just rained, I may not care as much. But yeah, so those are some kind of like where to eat 101s, right? Yeah. But it was like, I just went out today though, and I was like, ooh, what's going out there? You know, I was telling Nazi I've been in the hospital for a little while dealing with Lyme disease, and I've just kind of gotten out and I've been resting. So I wasn't even sure what was really blooming at the moment. So I just went out my backyard for coming out and just realized, I just was reminded how much food is out there just waiting for us in my backyard. In your backyard. These are plants that any listeners out there, I mean, you can go out into your backyard and you're probably going to find at least 1 or 2 of these plants. Yeah,
absolutely. All right. So what did you bring? So you have a good little variety of stuff that you found.
I've got a little collection. So let's start with the easiest one, goldenrod. So I'm going to show it here, but for your listeners, goldenrod is like, it's this tall plant that might grow 2 to 4 feet. And it's got all of these little narrow leaves coming off of it. And it's got those bright yellow flowers. Now, some people think this is ragweed. This is not ragweed. Some people think they're allergic to this instead of ragweed, right? And you're allergic to ragweed, not this. This is goldenrod. And so goldenrod, this isn't one I'm necessarily just going to like chow down on. But this makes a really powerful tea for your immune system. So especially right now, everyone's going back into the schools. There's a lot of stuff going around on top of coronavirus. Right. I think all of those families and kids right now, they've all got like the strep throat or the flu or I don't know, all sorts of things are happening right now.
Well, super colds because our bodies aren't used to fighting germs. We've been locked inside for a year.
Yes. But, you know, goldenrod is also really powerful for pain and arthritis. So I use this a lot for my Lyme disease and helping ease some of my arthritic pain. And this is one I'll actually, around this time of year, I will gather it in big hordes of it. And I dry it and I consume it all throughout the winter to help with my arthritic pain, but also to keep my immune system strong. So this is one that's growing everywhere right now. And on top of it being great for us, this is such an important plant for the bees and the insects. So if you have this growing in your lawn, I really just encourage you to let it grow. It's not just one of those invasive weeds that you want to cut down. This is something we really want to thrive. We want to have fields of goldenrod growing in New Hampshire.
Fields of gold.
Fields of gold, right? Yeah, and it's absolutely gorgeous. If you can see it, you know, there's some great, the Audubon has some great, the Audubon in Auburn has this beautiful field of goldenrod growing. And if you go to see it, there's just birds in there. There's a whole bunch of, I mean, like so many different species of native bees, right? This is the stuff that we need to really support them.
That's root pollinating. How long? So if you harvest it now and you want to keep it for the winter because you want to add it to your tea, how do you preserve it? How do you keep it for?
I just dry it, right? So I have like drying racks in my house, really set up, right? And then I just lay it on there, let it dry. I wouldn't dry it out in the sun.
Okay.
It tends to just get all brown. You loosen the nutrients.
Oh,
and then I would just store it all, right? I dry my things and then I store them in glass jars. So right now I'm showing a jar of daylily flowers, right? Wow. These are the daylily flowers that we have dried, and we crumble these onto our soups, like dried onions. Yeah. Or like before we bake a chicken breast or roasted chicken, we crumble this all over the chicken, and it has this really nice sweet flavor to it. It's almost like this natural, and you mix it with a little barbecue seasoning, and you got like this sweet barbecue.
It tastes so good.
Yeah, so that moves us on to our next food, daylilies, right? There are daylilies growing everywhere, right? You see them along the side of the road. Some of them are still in flower, and those flowers are totally edible. I would just, my warning with that one is that some people digest them better than others. So with every wild plant, start with a little nibble and see how your body likes it before you just totally go to town on it. Good advice. Except something like blueberries. If you know you can eat blueberries in the store, you're probably going to be able to eat blueberries in the wild. So we've got daylily flowers. We've got goldenrod.
Yep.
And then I want to show you guys another one. This is evening primrose. Have either of you guys seen this? It normally grows.
I've heard of primrose. I don't know if I've seen it growing though.
Yeah, so this is really popular in the beauty industry. Evening primrose is well known for its oil. Evening primrose oil is like one of the highest concentrated and one of the omegas. It's used on the skin. It's highly sought after oil. But we have this growing natively in New Hampshire, and it grows in abundance. And so I'm holding this green stalk right now with these bright yellow flowers on top. Although I'm realizing as I'm describing them for your radio listeners, many of these are green stems with bright yellow flowers.
Right.
So you guys got to Google these things, right?
Or you could just go to the Concord Co-op's Facebook page and you can see the whole video right there.
Get your little lesson.
Yep.
But so the flowers, they smell really sweet, and I love this plant for many reasons. From the foraging edible perspective, there are these pods that these flowers will eventually turn into all of these pods growing. And in the fall, these pods will start to open up a little bit. And in each pod will be hundreds of these tiny seeds, these evening primrose seeds. And that's what you can consume, just like you might like a chia seed or I don't know, any of your tiny little seeds. And they are super rich in those omega oils. So my husband bakes with them, right? He uses like poppy seeds or something. He just uses them all throughout his winter baking. And it's something really easy to forage too, because the plant is pretty sturdy, and literally you can just take it, dump it into a bucket, and all of these pods are just going to open up and let their seeds out into these buckets.
Interesting.
It's so cool. And you can toast them, and they have a really nice neutral flavor. But the other reason why I love this plant is because these plants will draw and attract just the most incredible birds. So from now until November, we have a little patch of evening primrose growing, and we have goldfinches, we have hummingbirds, we have woodpeckers, we have all sorts of birds all day long going to town on these plants. The hummingbirds is a really cool one, I think, because right, we're always putting out these sugar feeders, and this is what they want. Like a bird will always prefer the native species over any seeds that you're putting out for them. The problem is that we've cut down so many of our native species. We've eliminated so many of them. So on top of your goldenrod field that everyone's going to plant at their house, right? I recommend having a evening primrose field. It's going to grow very easily. It's a native plant, right? It grows, literally, we just have a wall of it along my driveway because it loves that disturbed soil. It's going to grow in the places where nothing else really wants to. And you're going to have a show. So my husband plants these outside of his office window so that he can watch the hummingbirds and watch the goldfinches and watch the orioles and watch all these birds just go to town on this native plant. Yeah, and the bees, again, it's like goldenrod. You're going to see all these native species of bees just going to town on them.
Just pollinating. That's amazing. That really
Right?
is. Yeah. Now, do you dry those out the same way? You just kind of let them dry out and then you've got them all winter, or is there a different way to harvest that?
So this is a great one in the sense that nature's going to do most of the work for you. I will not collect these this time. I just collected it now to show you what it looks like. But I will let them dry out on their own outside. So come late September, October, November, when the seed pods are brown and they start to open up, the birds will even do some of the opening for you, right? They'll start to nibble, they'll start to open them up for you. That's when I'll go out with my bucket and I literally just
dump them right in.
You don't even have to break the plant apart. You just,
nice and easy.
Dump it right in.
Yeah,
it's one of the easiest things to forage, and it's such a great nutrient dense seed, right?
Wow.
Good bang for your buck. And just grow. It just wants to grow. It's like, please just let me grow. And we're just mowing it down, right? We're like mowing down our food, and then we go to the grocery store. I don't get it.
Nope, no, we don't. All right, I think we have time for one more. Do you have one more plant?
Yeah, I'll show you one quick one. How about that?
Loser.
Oh no! Did you lose me?
Oh no.
Okay.
No,
I'll
still
okay, great.
We're back.
All right, this is lamb's quarter. This is natural. This is wild spinach, right? Yep. It has like a goose foot looking leaf. It grows in every garden, everywhere. It grows in every disturbed patch of anything, and it is just a natural spinach. And I will just eat it raw. Delicious, right? I'm eating right now.
Like spinach?
It just tastes like spinach. It's super
spinach.
mild. It's just a green. My husband throws it into his salad. We stir fry it up in all our stir fries. It's something that everyone's pulling out of their gardens, and you can. But what I do is I let mine grow up until the point they're about to go to seed. And then I take them out and I just strip it and I make a big stir fry of all that free spinach. It just grew wildly on its own. It grows better than like the spinach that you plant in your garden. It's just, that one's like, oh, I kind of want to grow, but then this is just growing alongside. And it's like, let me live. Let it live and then eat it. It's so good.
Right. Mother Nature is providing.
It is providing. Yep, yeah, absolutely.
That's so
there's
true.
so much out there, right? Just go learn the plants you have growing in your yard. Most of them you can probably eat.
Now, in the final minute we have left, Julieann, fall planting, fall gardening. Are we starting to transition into that time of year yet, or where are we? We've got about a minute left.
Yeah, so for fall gardening, not probably the best person to talk about that because I do more of the wild stuff. But at this point in the year, I am doing my second or my third rounds of radishes at this point. You can get your spinach in there. There's kale, you can get another round of kale in there. But from a foraging perspective, this is when we start to get excited for things like apples and making apple leather and all those feral apples growing everywhere out there. Now's the time to start eyeing them.
Feral apples. I've never heard that.
Feral apples. Yeah, I just, because there are no wild apples, right? There are no wild native apples in New Hampshire. They were all seeds brought in. But feral ones are ones that have just started growing on their own from the birds spreading the seeds. And there are some amazing flavors out there. Roadside apples, I call them, right? You're driving along, you see a random apple tree and it's just in the middle of nowhere. And my husband and I will just go get those apples and we make apple leather with it. Boom.
Why not?
Yeah, so I got my whole little jar of apple leather.
Julieann, give out your website where we can find out more about what you do and how you help out the community.
Yeah, well, right now I am on medical leave, so if you're going to ask me for music therapy help, I cannot do that at the moment. But all my music is on Spotify. Just look up Miss Julieann, MissJulieann. That's how you sing it. And I am MissJulieann.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me through Instagram. Just feel free to connect, and hopefully I'll be well enough to start working with everyone soon.
We're going to get you back soon. And the final 30 seconds, they belong to you, Kim.
Okay, well, the co-op will be celebrating our 40th anniversary in 2022. So we're trying to put together a little something. So we're on the lookout for old photos, videos, newsletters, anything. So if anyone has anything they want to pass along to us, just call the co-op and ask for the marketing department.
Excellent. Woohoo. Julieann, thank you. Kim, thank you. We will see you next week for the Concord Co-op Community Connections on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks.
If you're in the mood for real food, it's Concord Food Co-op.